There, man. You heard the bell. Are you recording now, Grimes?
Oh, yeah.
I hope you recorded all that. Cause that's
Yeah,
fine
no,
at the
he
beginning.
did.
We
Probably
have to
too
check
much.
the mics.
No,
to check
it's fine.
the mics.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Testicles.
Okay, good.
I can hear everybody. It's like magic mirror.
Oh my God.
Now we're actually back.
Yes.
As opposed to
Okay.
the first episode
Hold on,
where
we
you
need-
said we're back and we never were back. We were
We weren't.
she
first. We were
you know
front.
What? I heard that intro, and she said, "Welcome to another."
Another. Well, it's the name of the title. It was the title. Another terrible podcast.
Another, as if it was another episode.
I'm glad you listened.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was maybe the only one.
No, 3 other people.
Three other
too.
people?
Yeah. Welcome to another terrible podcast by comics.
Mm.
Woo!
Too loud.
Was it the woo?
Keep it the fuck down.
The wooing was too loud, huh? She wooed. She overwooed.
I would.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what, Dave?
She outwooed her
sometimes
welcome.
you want-
That his name's Sean. I wasn't even saying
talking
anything.
to you.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, I
So,
wish.
address the proper audience.
I wish you weren't saying anything.
This is going great.
No. So we welcome Mean Dave.
Yeah, welcome.
Comedian Mean
Yeah,
Dave.
Yeah.
I'm
Specify.
Eerie. Thank you.
Humanitarian, Mean Dave. Yeah.
No. I'm Eerie Diamond, hobby comic.
Professional hobby comic.
Professional hobby comic. As I'm trying to get this coined, basically, if you are a comic that has a day job, you are a hobby comic, according to Nicole Tran.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying her name now because on the last episode you did a
No,
thing.
she should
That's
be.
Pinot Cran is a different
Pinot
person.
Cran is-
That's a different person.
That's
It's
a different
not.
person.
Very different person.
It's actually not. You
It
know what?
sounds a lot like Nicole
Here's the
Tran,
thing,
I
but-
could have
trying-
sworn it was. I thought you were
Nah,
trying to
it's
do
not.
it.
No,
Pinot
I'm-
Cran she's a different lady. She's not from Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
She's from Nama, Vietnam. No, I am trying to get.
She's from Namaste.
Thank you. I'm trying to get her to listen to the podcast.
She ain't gonna listen to this shit.
She
Why
has
would
started
she?
her own podcast.
Oh, good for her.
No, she didn't start her. That's Buck Evans, who
Well,
isn't
her-
that?
well,
She's.
I mean,
he just points the camera
well,
for
whatever.
the live
They're doing they're doing
Facebooking.
a thing.
Yeah, with her and Jen or Jen Alves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Jennifer.
was-
Well, that's
It
exciting.
looks cute. I haven't watched
The
it for
the
shit,
first one,
but
I think,
yeah.
was today.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
just so
that's
you
the second one.
Yeah,
Oh,
It was another
Oh, it was.
another
Another-
terrible live
I want to introduce
Facebook.
comedian and musician Sean Boyles.
Hey, that's me. That's me.
Actually musician and comedian.
Yeah, you
he's
gotta be
more
specific
musician.
Wow,
with
that's-
Dave,
He's
'cause,
good.
like,
I'm just
how
saying.
dare how
Put
dare
the title.
you give any?
Guys,
It's
he's,
like
he's,
super mean.
he's a solid musician.
That is super mean. And we actually have audience members. Audience members on the bell. It's basically bring your partner to work day. And we got Molly, who
Yay.
who is dating Mean Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And good for you. Good for you for hanging in there, girl. And Sean Boyles, he brought his lovely wife. Would you want to introduce your lovely wife?
That's Hiroko over there.
Woo!
That's my wife.
Yeah, they are
We're
newlyweds.
like 8 weeks in. We're 8 weeks in.
Oh my
of being married or something
God.
like that.
Time's flying by.
Take my wife, please.
You'll be dead before you know it, man. It's
yeah.
nice.
You
It's
know?
going by that quickly.
It's gonna kill you. And then, of course, Grimes, our engineer. Yay,
Grimes.
Grimes.
Hey, that's your partner.
That's my partner, and he is amazing because he is our engineer, sound, camera, lighting.
He's the AV guy.
And a
he
a
also
third
owns-
audience member.
And he also owns the table that everything's on.
Word.
So he is fucking
awesome,
great.
awesome.
And we are broadcasting from Emeryville, Gorilla Made Productions Studios. Also, Godzilla's here somewhere. He's my dog.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say there's a bell, and the bell is thank you, Molly. The bell is basically if Molly or Hiroko decide that our topics suck, they can hit the bell, and we will stop. We will change the subject right away. So that's what that
Or
is.
not.
Or Dave will
can
throw a
continue.
fit and continue,
We'll continue
to ramble
Begrudgingly.
on.
Yeah.
And let's go.
That was fascinating right there.
That's
I'm so sorry. I took a sip of
while
something.
you're swallowing,
quality,
choked.
quality audio and video.
All
Alright.
right. Oh, that's perfect timing for the first topic here.
Okay.
Because you just did so mid-sentence.
Okay.
What have you ever quit comedy? How about that? Huh?
Let's leave it to Sean. He's our guest.
I have not. I don't think I've been doing it long enough to quit.
How long have you been?
I've just.
It's 3 years now.
3 years now. Yeah. Just celebrated 3
By
years.
quit, okay. Now by
Okay.
quit, I would throw quitting as taking a hiatus and not knowing if you would continue. That's not
definitely have not done that.
So you've always planned. I mean, you've done things for work and
I mean, I had to not book gigs for a couple weeks.
yeah,
because
you've been drumming.
That's
Yeah.
not quitting.
Just
Yeah.
there's not enough hours in the day.
Prioritized
Right.
life.
No.
that
Well,
he
we
has,
kind of all
yeah.
do that. Do you? Have you ever quit comedy, Dave?
I thought about it once at the beginning of 2011, I believe. I took a month and a half hiatus, and I did not know if I would continue. That was,
Really?
yeah.
What happened? Was it a terrible
Nothing happened.
bombing situation?
No,
or-
I this is when I was still, drinking and using drugs heavily. I think my band was still together, so I thought, and I was hanging out with this girl a lot in San Jose that I was smoking a lot of weed and drinking and doing drugs with, and so I think it was just one of those things. And plus, I just thought it was a miserable scene. And it was to some extent based if all you're doing is partying and not seeing immediate acceptance from comedy.
So, do you feel like the scene's better now?
I don't want to say. I mean, for every person. I mean, I don't think it's so much the scene as much as my state of mind.
Oh yeah.
At the time, because at the time there's a guy local. Was it Derek? Chowda. Everybody knows him. When I read his posts online or I see him in person, he reminds me of a lot of my behavior when I got into comedy, where it's very cathartic. He's in a much worse place, I think, somewhat, because he also, not to talk out of turn. He's talked about it, or whatever, but he's a recovering drug addict of hard drugs. He's a fairly misunderstood guy who also kind of doesn't make it easy on himself. I've talked to him a few times. Not a bad guy from what I gathered. But I do know his stand-up might be off-putting to some people depending on what he's trying to do or whatever. And I think it's one of those things where sometimes you got people that have, either suffer from issues or mental illness or whatever, and they hope comedy kind of can fix all that.
Did it fix it? Do you feel like it's fixed it stuff for
comedy
you?
had nothing to do with other than helping me direct me to recovery. That was about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I don't think it did that. Well, anyway, regardless, I don't want that bell ringing. The fact being, I thought about not coming back. Basically,
Okay.
I took a month and a half off, and I was like, I'll see how I feel. If I feel like I still want to do it, we'll see.
Did you feel
Yeah.
like when you took that time off that if you did decide to quit completely, that you wouldn't have an outlet? Or was that something
I was
that you
still
even
playing
thought
music.
about?
I think I would still play music. I think the question I was having was whether or not I'm always a big believer of am I supposed to be doing this? Or especially when you're on drugs too. I was very much are the signs telling me it's so stupid. You could read into anything as oh yeah, I woke up this morning. I'm meant to do this or
You're a
whatever.
dirty
Your
hippie,
ego
yeah,
and all that
reading.
shit. Just self-centeredness taking over. So, but I just questioned whether or not this was something I should be doing, and whether I was any good at. I'm I know I could figure it out. I'm not, but I know that I could be better than the worst comics I've seen. That I've also seen.
Oh, well, that's something.
I don't know if that's. It's it's
I'm
just
just
playing.
kidding.
It's just like playing music. Believe me, I'm in a day where I don't really. I even flashed on Matthew Quirk on Facebook this morning.
That was very interesting.
Oh, that was fun.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Oh no,
It was
dumb.
It was dumb.
It was dumb. I was agreeing with the motherfucker. He posted something. It was a link.
It was
about-
obviously Matthew didn't understand.
We could save this for topics no one cares about. That's
Yeah,
what. Let's
okay.
move on from
Probably.
that.
Get
So,
on there.
how about So
get
did
on
you
down
have you
there.
ever quit?
Have
Eerie?
have I ever quit? I have. Okay, so I about 6 years ago I did 2 open mics and was so nervous that I couldn't do any. I just got up there and freaked out and left. I did one joke, and this is how I did the joke. I'm so and then fucking just
That's
left.
a joke.
No, that was how it sounded.
Jokes are supposed to have setups and
Yeah,
punchlines,
how-
and that did not have either
Or
one
a
of
bit.
those.
It could have been a bit or an act
Was
out.
I don't even understand the premise.
Such assholes.
These are good questions. I don't
point
understand why
is
we're doing.
That
No wonder why you
I
wanted
was
to quit.
so scared that I couldn't even like get. And then, but that's not really quitting comedy. I mean, that's doing 2 open mics.
That's just
and then
learning that you
being like,
didn't
oh
do
shit,
something.
I'm
yeah,
too scared.
You
and
fucked
then
up. Yeah,
I
it's-
fucked up. And then I started, and it's funny. I did an open mic, and then I actually got booked on a showcase like from the open mic, the first open mic I'd done in like 5 years, and I was like, woo, I'm a fucking rock star. And then I did the show, and it was great. And then I got like a flu, and then I just didn't go back for like 6 months.
So illness stopped you from.
And I was seriously like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know if you
got
know
booked
this.
from
but
one
it's-
open mic.
6
Life was
months-long
telling you
flu?
that you were.
Yeah, well, it
A
wasn't that.
6-month-long
It was just me being fucking a loser. And then I started when I
Well, if you don't
started.
take care of yourself, you're gonna stay that sick.
Listen.
I wasn't sick the whole time.
Clearly weren't listening to your calling.
2017, November 2017 is when I went back. I started actually doing mics and getting booked on shows and
So
fucking.
you had a
and
real
then
like small little
a small
try
little gap.
at it. Well, you had a small
and then-
try at it early,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
came
But
back
I
later.
will tell you there have been more than one time where I have been like, fuck this, I suck.
But you've done other.
You can't be
And-
human and think anybody who would
and,
do this and
you
not
know,
have those considerations probably shouldn't be
Just
doing
that
it.
that sucked.
But-
I suck.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
and then people, and then this is the big thing, because I'm just a fucking bitch, is like I see people that I don't think are funny, and they're like fucking climbing up the ladder and booking shows, and I'm like, fuck you, bitch. And then they turn into my nemesis, and then they're doing well and I'm not doing as well. Oh yeah, I'm a terrible person.
Super deep.
I'm a terrible
No, that's
person.
that's everybody.
Does
really.
everybody
Yeah,
have like
yeah.
a secret nemesis?
I don't want
that
to say
they're
a
just
secret
like-
nemesis. Some are pretty out. I mean, they won't talk about it. Probably they won't post about it, or they wouldn't say names on Facebook or something.
No, because
Here's something to consider,
there's no
though.
reason for them to be my nemesis.
Here's
I'm
something to
just
consider.
mad at them.
Here's something to consider.
You've put
Okay,
that in your-
what?
For everybody that you've ever disliked, where you see comedy either embrace or whatever, grass always looks greener on the other side, no matter who you are. And as Paul Mooney put it, or Paul Mooney's grandmother would say, "What does it take to keep that grass green?" That's a thing to consider.
that's great.
But the fact being that I've always found that no matter what. The weird thing about this bullshit is that I feel like I have more in common sometimes with the person that I with people that I absolutely can't stand in comedy than I do sometimes with day-to-day people that are in my life that are close to me that don't do comedy. And it just that I have a certain weird, being in the trench of stupidity kind of thing in common. So, but
That's interesting.
yeah, it's just it's
Actually,
a weird
it's
thing.
not. Can you
'Cause
hit the bell? It's-
Oh, fuck you.
Now
Now I'm gonna quit.
you're gonna quit.
Now you've pushed them over the edge.
I guess that kind of went into why do we keep doing comedy? I mean, why do you keep doing comedy, Dave?
Well, right now I don't have a job. I mean, it's
Okay,
my
that's
job.
good.
It's my
That's
job,
good.
technically.
Sean?
Yeah.
I have I guess super selfish reasons. I enjoy saying foul things in front of strangers, and regardless if it's
You could do that at the BART.
I
man.
could, but
That's-
it's a lot funner with a microphone. and
Sometimes
it's
people
loud.
pay them though. That's
Oh,
yeah, the potential to for people to actually like. Me and David had these conversations before. I say I don't really care that much about what I do. I just enjoy doing it, and he told me I needed to care a little bit more.
just about trying to make people laugh. When you
Yeah.
say you don't care, it's not that I don't buy it only because I know what I care and don't care about. And I'll say that like there's times where I'll do a show where maybe my intentions are like I don't care whether I do my the material I know that pandering per se, like do material that'll pander.
that you know is
Yeah,
gonna
that I'm like,
work.
they'll eat this.
They're gonna
shit
love
up.
this
I would
shit.
rather take a chance and play with their sensibilities and fuck with their heads a little bit and see if they laugh at this. Sometimes they will. Sometimes there are people who will get it or whatever. But it doesn't mean that I don't. I mean the whole thing of like not. I remember I did a show not too long ago. in Oakland at that 7th West. It's that new spot in West Oakland. It's like, it's weird. You wouldn't even know it because it's surrounded by fucking tent city. But you go in there and it's like this kids paradise, or not kids, but young adults paradise of a bar, video games, old video games and pinball, and they have a venue there. And this guy Langston, I forget his last name, Langston something. He booked me for the open mic feature there, and I performed my set for 15 minutes. Didn't hear much laughs, but then afterwards, one guy said, "You were great," because the way you just did your shit.
Inside, Dave.
He said the way you did your shit, you just didn't give a fuck, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you got out of it. So wasn't that it was funny? It was that my attitude was I don't give a fuck. Kind of like how I'm talking right now, and you want to ring the fucking bell.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's
ring the fucking bell.
Why do you keep doing comedy? I'll tell you why I keep doing comedy. Because when I do have a good set, wow, that sounded terrible. That sounded like I never
Yeah, it's
have a
rare.
good set.
That's why.
Fuck you. Stop booking me on your shows, then, bitch. No, I have good sets all the time, but I swear to God. And no, when you do, you're like,
Man, you're making people drop shit over there,
fine.
Eerie. Look at
it's
that.
fine. They're
How's
dropping
that?
their panties,
Yeah.
babe. Wait, what? No, this is the thing. When you do have a good set and people are laughing where you want them to laugh, and for me, I feel like that's cool because it gives you this great.
There's a lot of tension for
it
it was
gives
cool.
you this great
cool.
feeling.
That was very
cool.
deep. It was
It's
deep.
very cool.
But it
Very
gives you
deep,
this
man.
Really
great,
cool.
Shut the fuck up. It gives you this great feeling of like, you know what? I
You need a
prepared
thesaurus,
this,
for other-
and I
It's really
I prepared
cool.
this, and
No, you worked
and
on
I
something. Yeah, I get
rehearsed
it.
this.
Yeah. You worked
and
on something,
it fucking
and
worked.
you get.
And I made these people laugh. And you know what?
Don't worry, there's
And,
an audience right around the corner that'll
you
remind
know,
you ain't
you
shit.
talked for like.
Some will be right in your fucking living room,
you
in your
talked
kitchen, near
for
your
like
kitchen table,
30
ringing a
minutes.
fucking bell.
You
and,
talked for 30
know.
minutes trying to figure out what the fuck Langston's
was
last
not
name was.
30
So
minutes.
shut the fuck
It
up
wasn't
and let
30
me
minutes.
finish.
I wasn't even trying
Langston
to figure it out.
starts with an A.
did not
I want
try
to
to
say it
figure
had
out
like a
his last
vowel
name.
sound.
Liar.
Fuck.
This is what that Matthew Quirk thread would felt like this morning.
That.
That's
I
what
don't.
it was.
Why do you keep? What the fuck are you guys even talking about? I don't
Matthew Quirk.
understand.
Matthew Quirk,
Matthew
local
Quirk.
comedian.
Dave lives in his world.
In his van,
I-
actually, he lives in. Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
I don't live
Matt
in my
lives
world.
in his van, and there's
I live
nothing
in my-
wrong with that. And I
fucking
want
you
you
live
to
in
know.
your world.
I actually told him I think he should paint a picket fence around the outside of his van just to make it more homey.
Yeah, you just say
And-
millennials suck on a fence. Yeah,
And
that's what
he's just
what he
That's what it-
paint.
that's what it was
yeah.
like.
get off
You
my
millennials.
He pulls up to a tech place and just yells,
He just
"Get off my lawn!"
responds to everybody as if they're millennials.
And-
And I think he was responding to me. I was agreeing with him. We're on to. So why do you keep doing comedy? We're done with that. Is that
I
right?
think everyone's done.
Yeah,
I
Sean
think-
said he
I-
doesn't
I
care.
don't
Wanna
care.
say something?
That's
I
why he
just-
keeps doing comedy.
uh,
I don't give
You
a
are a
fuck.
guest.
I think a lot
That's
of people
why.
have that. They need the attention, or they need those accolades. They need the pat on the back. They need the laugh
What do
to
you do?
reassure.
I don't think they do. No, I don't think that's either.
For me, it's I know. I was funny before I started doing stand up. You know what I
were?
mean? Like
we
you
all
know
were
what I mean?
funnier before we did stand up
Funnier, maybe.
Were you way
We
more
were.
funny?
Maybe
because we were real people.
Maybe it might have been more funny. I had more funny.
We weren't
in me
fake ass
before-
hacks
before I started doing stand-up.
after we tried to be funny. It's the worst thing in the world is
Okay.
to try to be funny.
Let's